am Maelyn Sutliff. I work with the ARC, and I am the host of Versatile Veggies. And today, the veggie we are focusing on for this week is spinach and kale. We combine the two just because they're very versatile. And what we're doing today is we're going to be cooking a tomato, spinach, and kale shrimp pasta. So the reason we combine spinach and kale together is because you can pretty much use them in the same recipes and everything in the same way. They cook very similarly and everything like that. So today we are going to start by cooking the shrimp. So I'm going to move you guys over here where you can see the stove. And we have our shrimp in this basket. And what we're going to do is add some olive oil. And the noodles are almost ready to be put in. So we're going to add some olive oil. I'm going to throw the shrimp in. There we go. Alrighty, I'm going to peel these really quickly. I can show you guys how that works. Should be able to see. So if you've never peeled shrimp before, you're gonna hold the tail and you just kind of pinch and then everything comes out. So I'm gonna do this to all of the shrimp before we throw them in there. I like this because this recipe is really good because shrimp is good for you. It's a good like meat alternative if you like eating meat. And if you're on a diet, it works with most diets actually. It's easy to cook. I think it cooks pretty quickly. And it's really easy to add flavor to and everything like that. Pot over here is boiling.
Ice cream cone just a minute.
All right, just a few more shrimp. Okay, so next up with the shrimp, well, actually, first I'm gonna grab my box of pasta and throw that in. So give me just 1 second. I'm gonna throw these shells away. So I went ahead and started boiling the pasta earlier, so we're just waiting around. I'm cooking rotini. It says you can also use penne. I'm sure you could use pretty much whichever shape pasta you like. I'm gonna throw that in. And I'm gonna set a timer. Probably, yeah, 8 to 10 minutes. Alrighty. And for the shrimp, in my pan here, I'm gonna add some seasoning. So we're gonna add red pepper. We're gonna add some salt. We're gonna add black pepper. Some paprika. And then, where is it? Some Italian seasoning too. Alrighty. Now all the shrimp is seasoned. We're gonna stir it around. And this is only gonna take about 5 or 10 minutes to cook up. Shrimp cooks pretty easily. You just want to make sure that it's cooked all the way through. I'll show you guys what I'm looking at. Let me put my camera. Alrighty, so here's the shrimp. With all the seasoning. I think it looks really, really good. Alrighty. I'm gonna stir these noodles again. While the shrimp is cooking, I'm gonna go ahead and start chopping up the tomatoes that we're gonna be using. Let's get the camera set up. So it calls for 4 Roma tomatoes, but I could only get these tomatoes at the grocery store. So I'm gonna use 2 of them. Since they're a little bit bigger than the Roma tomatoes. And I'm just gonna dice these up. When you're cutting tomatoes, it's really good to use a serrated knife, or else it's really hard to cut tomatoes. Alrighty. And I like my tomatoes cut a little bit smaller. I really like cooked tomatoes. I'm not the biggest fan of raw tomatoes, but what's good about when you cook your own food is that you get to make it how you like it. So I'm still making it with the tomatoes because they're really good for you and they are good when they cook them. I'm just cutting them a little bit smaller. Alrighty, this last one. My shrimp are sizzling. Alrighty, so I have all these really, really good looking tomatoes. These actually look delicious right here. So the shrimp are almost done, and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna put the tomatoes in there with a bunch of spinach. And like I said, you can use kale too, so I'm gonna put a handful of kale in there as well. What's really nice about spinach and kale is that when you cook them and you heat them up, they do what's called cooking down, so they'll shrivel up and they'll release some of the liquids that they have. And so when you put a handful of spinach in, it actually turns into like a small handful when it's actually in the pan. So you'll see me put quite a bit of spinach in there, but honestly it gets all shriveled up, so it looks like a lot, but it's really not a lot. And what I love about kale and spinach is you can just easily add it to these pasta dishes. You can add it to soups, you can add it to salads, and you can't always tell that it's there, and it's super nutritious. It's really, really good for you. It's very, very high. The health facts over here, it's a really, really dense food. It's high in a lot of vitamins. Both spinach and kale are. So if you can see, I'm just gonna stir my shrimp. They're almost done. These are looking really good. It smells really good. I wish you could smell it. I'm gonna stir my noodles here too. And my tomatoes getting ready to go in the pan. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna move the shrimp into this bowl right here. We're gonna take them out of the skillet, and into the skillets, we're gonna put the tomatoes, the basil, the spinach, and garlic. I forgot about the garlic. So we're grabbing that. Alrighty, so I'm just using minced garlic already. That's just kind of the easiest. And we're gonna add that into the saucepan and let that cook down a little bit, and then add the pasta and everything like that. So I'm gonna bring you back over to the stove. It smells really good. Alrighty, so I'm gonna take all the shrimp out. Put some more olive oil in there. All these yummy tomatoes. And then I'm gonna add this whole container of spinach. It looks like a lot of spinach, but I promise you it's gonna cook down super fast. Oops. So you can see, here, I'll turn my camera around for y'all. You can see there's a lot of spinach going in here, and it's all gonna cook down. I'm gonna do a little bit at a time. And the basil, I also put on the top of this, so we also got the basil in here. And once we get some of the spinach to cook down, I'll add the rest of it, and I'll also throw in the garlic. A lot of really yummy flavors in this dish. I'm excited. I'm gonna put a cover over this. To help it all cook down, and then we're gonna add the rest of the spinach. In the meantime, we can check to see how the pasta's doing. Yeah, so this is all cooked down already a lot. So I'm gonna throw in the garlic, and then I'm gonna add the rest of that spinach. Alrighty. I'm gonna cover this up again to help the spinach simmer down. The noodle's almost ready to go. I'm gonna cook it for a little bit longer. So this is gonna just keep cooking for a minute or two more. I'm probably gonna turn the heat down on it a little bit. And then I'm gonna add a few more of the seasonings that we used in the beginning. And then once the pasta is done, we're gonna add it to the tomato and the spinach mixture. And there's a little bit of kale and basil in there too. And then we're gonna remove it from the heat and add the shrimp to it. Alrighty. So we're just waiting for a few more minutes until the spinach cooks down a little bit. I can talk more. Sorry, that was kind of a loud noise. Oh yeah. We're gonna let this cook down a little bit and then I'll show you how much it's shrunken from when we first threw it in here. Definitely a lot. So some of the ways that you can cook with spinach and kale are, well, I think something that a lot of people do nowadays is spinach and kale smoothies. It just makes your smoothie green. And it adds, since both of them are so dense in nutrients, it adds a lot of nutrients, which is awesome. So you'll see that one as a really popular one. Another way to easily throw them into your diet or just what you eat is in bowls. So we just call these like dinner bowls at our house. We usually eat them a lot on leftover days. So we'll take rice or quinoa or pasta, and that'll be kind of the carb, and we'll throw in some greens like spinach or kale or any other lettuce or something like that. And along with that, we'll throw in some more veggies. A lot of people put lots of different colors in there. There's some pictures of them in the PDF that might help you get creative. You can just look up different types of salad bowls on the internet. You can follow a recipe, or you can just throw in a bunch of veggies with a grain. You can put meat in there if you want to. And those are always really, really good. They're easy to make, they're quick, and they're great for you because they have so much nutrients in them. Another way to cook with them is salad. You can just do a simple salad out of kale and spinach instead of using another green. You can just use kale and spinach because they're so packed with nutrients. They're going to be really, really good for you. Another great way to cook kale, especially, I'm not sure if you can do it for spinach, but I know you can do it with kale, is what's called kale chips. So if you have an air fryer, you can put some salt and pepper and what other seasoning you like on the kale, throw it in the air fryer for a few minutes, and when it comes out, it's crunchy like a chip, but it's a lot healthier than an actual chip. And they really don't taste bad. I think a lot of people think veggies are hard to eat because they taste bad. And I think if you try around and cook them a few different ways and play around with them, I think you can really find something that works with you. I know, I'm not sure if she's listening right now, but I know Jenna really likes kale chips. Brooke, have you ever tried kale chips before?
Yes, at school.
You tried them at school?
Yeah, she and Jenna tried them together, right? Because they have them
Oh,
at
that's right.
transition.
That's
Yeah.
right. Did you like them, Brooke? It's okay
Yes.
if you didn't. You did like them? That's good.
I like them.
That's awesome. Yeah, and so another thing to keep in mind is when you're just cooking pretty much any meal, you can always probably find a way to throw kale and spinach into the meal and add to it. So that's always something to keep in mind. Like I was talking about earlier, you got soups, pasta, salads, anything like that. You can throw either kale or spinach into, and it really will add some flavor. So right now, I'm gonna bring up the camera so you can see. This is how much the spinach is cooked down. I don't know if you remember, but it was a full thing of this. So we put a lot of spinach in here and it's all cooked down. So I'm going to go ahead and drain the pasta and then we're going to pour it in here and give it a stir. So I'm going to flip the camera back around. Alrighty, so I'm going to get a strainer over here. Something to remember while cooking the spinach is how I covered it. That's something you really want to do. It's going to help the spinach cook down really, really nicely. So all my noodles are drained. And I'm going to go ahead and add them to this saucepan. Alrighty. And we're just gonna stir all of this deliciousness up together. And then I'm gonna probably throw in a few more of those spices that I was talking about earlier. We're gonna throw on top of here too. And then you serve it, you can just put the shrimp right on top of the noodles. It smells really, really good. I wish you could smell it. Oops, we got a fine noodle. So like I said earlier, I chose these spiral ones. I forget what they're called, like rotini. I cooked with these ones just because I like rotini, but you can cook with whatever whatever size noodle you prefer. Break up the spinach a little bit here. It clumps together when it cooks down like we cooked it down. Alrighty, this looks really, really good. So then what you're gonna do is just add the spinach, or excuse me, add the shrimp on top of it. I'm gonna stir these in too. Got noodles falling out of the pan. Alrighty, I'm gonna take this off the saucepan. Perfect. And over here, you'll be able to see this lovely pasta we have. So this is the shrimp that we added, the pasta, you can see the tomatoes and all the spinach right here. See, this is a whole leaf that got cooked down. So it gets really, really tiny when you cook it. There's kale hidden in here too. I'm not sure if you'll be able to see it. It blends in with the spinach. I can try and find some. So this is the kale tomato. Hold on, let me get the recipe right here. It is tomato, spinach, and kale shrimp pasta. So you're gonna get this picture recipe that I have right here in the mail tomorrow. And this is the health benefits and some of the ways that you can cook it with some pictures. And go ahead and try this recipe. I'm really excited to eat it. It smells delicious. And that's all I have for tonight.